Animals in the Garden by Colin Harris. Animals in the Garden. Contents. Introduction. The garden spider, the blue tit, the hedgehog, the earwig. Things to do. Introduction. Many gardens are like this one. How many animals can you see? Some animals are more difficult to spot. How many can you see now? This video will tell you more about some of these animals. The garden spider. The male garden spider is not as big as the female. They are about this big. How many legs do spiders have? Insects have 6 legs, so spiders are not insects. Can you see why the female spider is sometimes called the cross spider? A female garden spider. If you go to look for a garden spider, look for her web first. She spins her web from very thin silk. Her web is a trap which catches insects. The garden spider's web. Can you see the trapping strand? This is what it looks like under a lens. Can you see the drops of gum? When an insect lands on the gum, it sticks to it. Can you see the signal strand? The spider often sits at the end of this. If an insect hits her web, a trembling signal tells the spider and she comes running out. The spider does not stick to the gum, so she can catch and eat the insect. At the end of summer, the female spider lays hundreds of eggs. Then she spins thick yellow silk around them, like this. In spring, the eggs hatch out. The baby spiders are yellow. They are called spiderlings. At first, the spiderlings collect up into a big round ball. There are too many spiderlings for one garden, so they spin thin strands of silk which catch in the wind. Then they travel on the wind until it drops them into a different garden. The spiderlings drift off in the wind. The blue tit. A blue tit is about this big. Male blue tits are often more colourful than females. If you put a bag of nuts in your garden, you will attract blue tits. They love milk too. Blue tits do not fly off for the winter. They stay all year. Birds that stay with us are called resident birds. These are some more resident birds: blackbird, thrush, robin. Blue tits will nest in nest boxes if you put some around your garden. But they build nests in some very odd spots too. The female builds the nest out of thin twigs, moss and grass. Then she lays 1 egg a day for about 10 days. She puts moss on top of the first eggs she lays until she is ready to sit on them all. She sits on the eggs for 13 to 16 days. How many days did the female spend laying these eggs? When the eggs hatch, the adults go on hundreds of hunting trips every day. They come back with grubs and spiders and drop them into the nestlings' mouths. The little birds stay in the nest for about 19 days until they can fly. Then for the next 2 or 3 weeks, the adults fly with them and bring them food until they can catch grubs to eat. The hedgehog. The hedgehog is about this big. Can you see the spines on its body? Adult hedgehogs have more than 5,000 spines. The hedgehog has eyes like black buttons. Often you cannot see its legs and tail. They are hidden under its body. If you see a hedgehog in your garden, it will often run off. When it runs, you can see its legs. But sometimes it tucks itself up into a round ball of spines. It can stay in a ball all day. Not many animals will attack a ball of spines like this. Hedgehogs hunt at night. You can tell when hedgehogs are in your garden because they bump into things and they grunt and sniff a lot. They do not have to creep along because big animals do not attack them. Hedgehogs cannot see very well, so they must smell the food they eat. That is why they sniff so much. Hedgehogs are good for gardens because they kill and eat so many pests. When the female is ready to have baby hedgehogs, she builds a nest, often under a shed or in garden rubbish. The male does not help to bring them up. A baby hedgehog is about this big. At first they are fed on the female's milk. It is very rich and they grow fast. This table tells you how fast a baby hedgehog grows. Time growth. 2 days, the first brown spines grow. 11 days, it can tuck itself up into a ball. 14 days, it can now see. 22 days, it can go hunting with the female. At the end of about 6 weeks, the baby hedgehogs go off to look for somewhere to live. They must get as fat as they can because when winter comes, all hedgehogs hibernate. To hibernate is to sleep for a long time without eating or drinking. If hedgehogs are too thin, they will not live until the spring. So, at the end of summer, the hedgehog builds a thick nest to hibernate in. The earwig. The earwig is about this big. You will not often see an earwig fly, but it does have wings, an earwig stretching out its wings. The wings look like ears. Do you think that is why it is called an earwig? Earwigs are insects. They have 6 legs. Look at the male and female earwig. Can you tell which is which? Look at the pincers. Males and females have different pincers. If you pick up an earwig, it will bend its body so that it can nip you. But its pincers are not very big, so they will not cut into you. Earwigs spend the day hidden in cracks and under bricks and logs. They hunt for food at night. They are pests in the garden because they eat buds and petals. But they do eat insects like greenfly, so they are good for the garden too. Earwigs eat plants and insects. At the end of summer, the female digs a little tunnel under a rock or a log. She lays about 30 eggs in the tunnel. Many insects lay eggs and abandon them, but the female earwig stays with her eggs. If someone lifts up the rock and shifts the eggs, she will collect them up and put them back. In spring, the eggs hatch out. The baby earwigs look just like little adults, but they do not have wings yet. The female brings them food. When earwigs hatch out, the female brings them food. The female earwig stays until they grow into adults. Then they often eat her. Things to do. 1. How can you tell a male from a female garden spider? 2. Why do insects stick to the web? 3. How do spiderlings travel to a different garden? 4. What can you put on a bird table to attract blue tits? 5. What are resident birds? Draw 2. 6. About how many eggs do blue tits lay? 7. When can you see a hedgehog's legs? 8. Not many animals hunt hedgehogs. Why? 9. How can you tell when a hedgehog is in your garden? 10. Is this earwig a male or a female? How can you tell? 11. Why are earwigs pests? Why are they good for gardens? 12. Which animal in this book do you like best? Why?